What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of F1 Fantasy Pole Position. It is Thursday, May 15th. My name is Ewan. On today's episode, I'm going to get into my Imola Grand Prix transfer targets. I've already had my Q&A stream for the week, so go check that out. And on Saturday, I will have a deadline live stream. So hopefully you stick around for all that content. We went over 3,000 subscribers last week, so thank you to every single one of you that have ever liked, commented, viewed, and subscribed to the YouTube channel. However, if you are watching this, don't forget that you can also subscribe to the YouTube channel and like the video. That would be greatly helping me out. I appreciate every single last comment, all that fun stuff, and I try to respond to every single one of them. And you can also follow me on X at F1 Fantasy Ewan, where I am tweeting out my targets, my toxic rankings, my A tier rankings, my B tier rankings, all that fun stuff throughout the week. Race week is super fun on that platform, so hopefully you can join me over there. But yes, today will be transfer targets episode. I am actually recording this on Tuesday, May 13th, just so you know, so a couple of days before. So if anything breaks and it doesn't sound super relevant to this episode, that is just a little bit of a forewarning. However, we did have some slightly breaking news in F1 Fantasy yesterday. And that would be that Franco Colapinto is officially in the game at 4.5 million. Yes, finally added. And the bigger news, according to F1FantasyTools.com and their budget builder, he only needs 6 points for a maximum price rise. So I said Franco Colapinto enters F1 Fantasy at 4.5 million. What's Spanish for lock of the week? And yeah, a couple of people let me know, so I appreciate that. I'm not going to try to pronounce that with my terrible Spanish accent. That's just not going to happen. But yeah, very interested in Franco Colapinto this week. He is pretty much going to be in all of my teams if I can get him in there for free. If it comes down to a hit, maybe that's something we can discuss on the deadline live stream on Saturday. But let me know in the comments below what you are thinking about Franco Colapinto. The thing we have to keep in mind is that he was a little Jekyll and Hyde last season. So the first 5 races here, 8.6 points per race. Last 4 races, -9 points per race. That was hampered by 3 DNFs in the last 4 races. But overall, he was pretty good. 11 points in Italy, 9 in Azerbaijan, 6 in Singapore, 9 in Austin, 8 in Mexico during the first 5 races. 1.52 points per million, 10th in race average, and went up 2.5 million on the old budget system. So he was a budget king to begin his tenure in F1 Fantasy. He eventually kind of fell a little bit towards the end of the season, but overall, Franco Colapinto, I'm super interested in him. You should be too in F1 Fantasy, because now there are technically 3 bottom of the barrel assets in Gabriel Bardoletto, Franco Colapinto, and this next team, Sauber. They are also at the bottom of the barrel. They've only had 1 negative scoring race in 2025. That was Bahrain. They're 4.5 million. They're in 2% of the global top 500. I actually checked Franco Colapinto this morning. He is already at 1% owned in F1 Fantasy. So people are just making that early move no matter what. Sauber, though, 2 points per million, or 2 points per race, 0.45 points per million. They only need -6 points for a good price increase and -2 points for a great price increase. That is the main reason that they are in my thoughts. 4.5 million, so they can't go down. They just need to have a clean race this weekend, and they will get you that 0.6 million. And with the way that the B tier is right now, we are just scraping together as many budget gains as we can possibly get. And Sauber is one of those ways that feels like quite an easy route to get a 0.6 million increase. So like I said, let me know in the comments below, is Sauber an option for our F1 Fantasy teams this week? I'm a little bit on the fence, but there are some options that I can get to there. So I've got 3 main options in my T1 squad that I'm going to get into. So if you don't want to watch the whole episode, timestamps in the description below, as always. And yeah, they are one of the ways that I can kind of fix my T1 squad after what happened in Miami. Next up is Lance Stroll here. Back-to-back points finishes at Imola, 9.7 million. He's in 1.4% of the global top 500. 11.3 points per race, 1.28 points per million. Those are both up there as well. He's one of 2 drivers, along with Alex Albon, outside the big 4 to have a positive point score in every race this season, which is kind of wild to think about. So if you've had Lance Stroll in F1 Fantasy before, it kind of feels like we're waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's just hasn't happened this season yet. 16 points in Australia, 17 points in China, 2, 7, 1 in Japan, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia, but then 25 points in Miami to just get him out of the dolges of the B tier fallers. And yeah, 1 point in Imola for a good price rise, 9 points for a great price rise. I'm not expecting the 9 points for the great price rise, not at all, to be honest, but the 1 point, if you can just keep it on track, I believe that Lance Stroll can get that 1 point and get you a 0.2 price increase. He's not super in my thoughts for my T1 team. I don't really have a way to get to him, but he's at like this nice price point. Like if you can't get up to Albon, but you kind of have enough money to get out of the 4.5 million, it seems like a pretty easy 0.2 price increase. He kind of pulled some miracles already this season, the 16 points in Australia, the 25 points in Miami, so I wouldn't put it past him to score those 9 points in Imola. I think it's a little out of reach, but stranger things have happened because, yes, we are still talking about Lance Stroll as a transfer target in F1 Fantasy going into the 7th race of the season. Next up is Williams. Haven't scored a point at Imola since 2006. Mark Webber got 6th in that Grand Prix. There haven't been a race every year here. I understand that. San Marino Grand Prix, Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, Imola Grand Prix, all that fun stuff. But they are flying right now, and Williams needs to be in our F1 Fantasy thoughts. 15.9 million, 3% of the global top 500 teams have them in their F1 Fantasy lineup. 21 points per race, 1.5 points per million. And this is almost more appealing than Kick Sauber to me because negative 15 points for a good price increase, 0 points for a great price increase. And with the way they are going right now, 27 points in Saudi Arabia, 31 points in Miami. Even with the DNF, I almost feel like the other driver will pick up the slack for them. So if Alex Albon has a DNF, but like maybe qualified 6th, say on Saturday, something like that, 6th or 7th, I still kind of think that Carlos Sainz could make up those 16 points on Sunday just with like the race finish and all that stuff to kind of get Williams to that 0 points that they need. Definitely to the negative 15 for the good price increase. And while I don't think Williams will keep flying at the rate they are starting to creep towards that A tier kind of bracket that we were wondering about. So that's about 19 million. We are thinking in F1 Fantasy. We don't really exactly know where it is because Kimi Antonelli just kind of bumped up there and he was in the A tier after being 18.4. So that's something we have to think about as well. And yeah, I really like Williams. They are another option for me to fix my T1 squad, which needs some serious fixing. But the 0 points for a price increase or a great price increase is super tempting and very nice to have in my F1 Fantasy squad. But let me know, Kick Sauber versus Williams for your second constructor, along with McLaren, more than likely. Which one do you prefer in F1 Fantasy this week heading into the Imola Grand Prix? Lando Norris is the last transfer target. It says back-to-back podiums at Imola here because I was only going with the recent regulations, but he actually has back-to-back-to-back podiums at Imola. So he loves this track. 30.4 million, 81% of the global 500 have him in their squad. 41.7 points per race, 1.41 points per million. Needs negative 8 points for a good price increase, 19 points for a great price increase. So pretty much not as safe as Oscar Piastri to get that 0.3 price increase, but second best option in the A tier to get that 0.3 price increase. 59 points in Australia, 44 points in Miami was nice, 36, 32 in Saudi Arabia and Bahrain, respectively. So isn't hitting the super highs like maybe of like a Max Verstappen in 2023 when he was dominating. But Lando obviously has Max and Oscar to compete with here. Throw in like just some minor mistakes from Lando as well, and it's not for super pretty viewing right now at times, but he looked like he got it back on track in Miami. We're gonna see how the weather is shaping up in Imola here in just a little bit. Could that limit McLaren's advantage? We'll have to wait and see. But Lando Norris is another option for me to kind of fix my squad. Like if I go with Kick Sauber, I can get Lando Norris in my team, and I can have triple McLaren, which feels like getting one of a Godzilla villain or a Greek myth villain. Is that Hydra? I can't remember which one that is with the three-headed dragon. Like Norris, Piastri, and McLaren in one lineup feels quite strong. But those are my 5 transfer targets for the Imola Grand Prix, and now I'm going to get into some updated team selection thoughts. So, like I said here, wanted to check on the weather real quick. Like I said earlier in the episode, it is also Tuesday for me right now, while this episode is going out on Thursday. Um, yeah, just got some stuff going on Thursday, so I can't record it as soon as I would like. But looking at here's Friday afternoon's forecast, or this is actually, yeah, this is Friday afternoon's forecast right here. 19 degrees Celsius, 1% chance of precipitation. So hopefully we'll get some Friday running for sure. Saturday is where things start to get a little bit hotter here, 22 degrees Celsius, mostly sunny and pleasant, 1% chance of precipitation. This is in the afternoon as well, so right around qualifying. This is from AccuWeather.com. So feeling pretty good there. And then Sunday, I've seen a lot of people say that it could be wet, but as of right now, AccuWeather is predicting 24 degrees Celsius, mostly sunny and pleasant, probability of precipitation 2%. So it's not super warm where that McLaren advantage should like play super a lot into people's thinking. But I still expect the papaya to be super strong around Imola and possibly dominate most of the weekend. But here's my T1 squad here after Miami: Piastri, Lawson, Behrman, Bortoleto, Hadjar, McLaren, Mercedes. 3 transfers here. And there are quite a few options that we can get into here. So I'm going to take Lawson, Behrman out automatically. That's kind of where I have to go. Just with those are likely to fall. If we go to the budget builder here, you can see that Behrman likely to fall, 14 points needed to avoid a price fall in Imola, along with Lawson, 19 points. So that's not really going to get it done for the main squad at all. So I need to fix those 2. Easiest things right now would be to bring in Franco Colapinto. Ever heard of him? And that would leave me 13.7 million, which could be Alex Albon territory. That would just be 2 free transfers. It's not the worst thing in the world. 6 points here for a good price rise, 18 points for a great price rise. That's a little out of reach. Maybe we'll see. But the other option would be Lance Stroll that we were talking about earlier in the transfer targets. 1 point needed for a good price increase. So 0.3, hopefully 0.6 here with Colapinto. We'll see 0.2, bottom of the barrel. And then hopefully Hadjar can get up to this 2 points, which I would be thinking he can, and just get a 0.2. And then both of these should rise 0.3. So this is kind of this safety school kind of thing, if you get that reference, that this is probably nice. I would roll another free transfer. I keep rolling this 3rd free transfer, and it would probably set me up okay for Monaco. However, there are some more exciting options I'm going to get into here right now. So first exciting option is bringing in the Kick Sauber squad that we talked about, along with Lando Norris and then Franco Colapinto as well. That's 3 free transfers, got the 3-headed monster between Piastri, Norris, and McLaren. Maybe this would be an opportunity to pay the autopilot chip, just with having both McLarens in here. Would like to save that for maybe like a sprint weekend, just because there's more points on offer and stuff like that, with like sprint fastest lap, more overtakes, that sort of stuff. So maybe the autopilot chip would be off the table, but it is a slight option here. Colapinto, Bortoleto, bottom of the barrel, they're not going down. This squad has some budget upside just because Piastri, Norris probably both going to go up the maximum. McLaren go up the maximum. Kick Sauber just has to not have a DNF. Although a Bortoleto DNF would extra hurt, just like double negative 20 there. So not a huge fan of that. But if I didn't want to bring in Colapinto, it would leave me 7.8 million, which can get me to Hulkenberg, who is kind of 2nd or 3rd on the list here with 5 points needed for a good price rise and 10 points needed for a great price rise. So while I don't love that either, it is an option. And then the final option, which right now, as of Tuesday, May 13th, is my favorite option, is actually bringing in Williams and leaving me with enough money to bring in Colapinto again, if I can go find him. And then leave me with 22.3 million to bring in George Russell. This has pretty good point scoring upside with Piastri, Russell, Williams as well. But then the problem with Russell is he's probably only going to go up 0.1, whereas I feel Norris will go up 0.3 quite easily, barring like a DNF or something like that. But Piastri, Russell, Williams feels like it can score more points than Norris, Piastri, Sauber, I guess, is kind of where my head is at. But let me know in the comments below which of those options you like the most. Right now, I'm leaning towards this Russell, Williams, Colapinto build over the Norris, Kick Sauber, Colapinto build. Or do you like the boring option? Should I just like play it safe, play it kind of boring? Let me know in the comments below. But right now, we are 1 day away from on track running when this episode goes out. So that's kind of exciting. There will be a deadline live stream on Saturday as well. So make sure to join me for that. But that'll do it for today's episode on F1 Fantasy Pole Position. Let me know, did you agree with my transfer targets? Do you like them? Do you not? Do you have other transfer targets? Let me know in the comments below. Always happy to chit chat F1. You can follow me on X at F1 Fantasy Ewan. You can comment on here, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, all that fun stuff. There'll also be a cool down room episode 1 hour after the Imola, I was going to say the Emilio Grand Prix, Imola Grand Prix ends on Sunday. So make sure you check that out as well. A little bit of a short and sweet episode today. Hopefully that all made sense. But yeah, it's been a great week of content so far. And yeah, I'll be back on Saturday for the deadline live stream. So hopefully I will see you then. But once again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And I will talk to you next time.